So this is the time for public comment, and we have one person, is that correct? And that is Amanda. Is that you?
That's,
I
I was hoping someone was gonna go before me. So I've never been to a school board meeting, so I'm new to this, but everyone said I needed to come. So my name is Amanda. I live off Jeans Road. I have 5 students in the district. I own a business in the community, and I have recently been asked a lot about cheer, and so that's why I'm coming here tonight. I was hoping to start a little kids cheer, and then students started coming out of the woodwork asking me, well, what about a high school team? And so I did a little digging and found out that we actually don't have a high school team. And so we did some work, made a few phone calls, ended up having a cheer meeting 2 Mondays ago. And thought we were all on board to have a cheer club because there was no athletic funds. Well, after we send out all the information to the students and tell them it's going to be up on, registration, we find out we actually can't have a cheer club. It has to be funded by the district. Well, with no funding in the district and no club, that kind of puts us in gridlock to not be able to have a cheer team or to fund all the money for coaching now, and practices should have started today. And so we did get confirmation at like 4:30 today that we can fundraise as a team, but we can't actually have practice or be a team until we have the funds for a coach. So I'm here to kind of ask why how can we cut something that gridlocks us from having a cheer program? I understand not having a budget, but I don't understand not being able to be a club. I know it's because of Freya, who I did find out today is not a person and is an organization. So this is how new I do this. I was like, who is Freya and why do you keep talking to her? So I'm not gonna pretend like I really know anything about the financial side of this. For a lot of the rules, I have coached for a lot of years, not here, a few years for TSB in the Eugene area. We're newer to the Fernridge community. We've been here about 5 years. And so I'm just kind of asking for your help. How do we have about 15 students right now who are interested in cheer. We have as little fundraising as we can do in talking. It's interest and some donations, but like, how do we go about having a cheer team? How can you guys help us go about having a cheer team? Because I think it's really important for all of these girls, and that's who we have right now. I tried to recruit a couple boys today, but they're not so interested. And I think for just the atmosphere of our school after COVID and kind of bringing the school back together and just the camaraderie of it all in the school and the atmosphere is really important. And so as a parent, I was hoping to have a few more cheer parents here. I just want to know, like, oh, I have one. Like, what do we do, and how can you help us, and how can we help you to make this happen this year for the kids? And if we do, just knowing how important it is for so many kids to have this opportunity and have it back in the budget for next year.
Well,
I'll jump in. So
yeah.
the best thing is just to meet with me. I can talk to you after the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Some of what you said is news to me. So best thing to do would be sit down and talk with me and go over it.
Okay.
For the board, a little background. We had cheer for a long number of years. When the law lack of interest, it was open for a few years and started kind of like this. There was some interest, and we ran it for 2 or 3 years.
I think only 2.
2 years, and then again, kind of interest waning. Coach resigned. We posted the job. The job was open for over a year. Nobody ever applied. We had the cheer in the budget for that first year. Second year came around, still no applicants. It wasn't in the budget for this year. And now, again, we're kind of getting some interest in maybe starting cheer again, which if we have the interest, we definitely want to have cheer. So there is some conflicts. We can't have in any position that's in the bargaining unit, it's in the collective bargaining unit with the teachers, which this is, like a football coach or a teacher, or whatever. We can't have somebody say, I'm going to volunteer to be the teacher. We got to pay them. However, there could be an avenue if we didn't want to call this. There could be a club avenue that could be different, but I need to sit down with the leadership of FRIA, the union, and discuss that. So 2 options I give you. One, wait till this fun meeting's over, we can chat, or we can get a meeting scheduled later this week.
All right, well, maybe coming here was the right avenue, because that's not what I've been hearing the last few days, so I'm glad I came and maybe we can get it worked out.
Great.
I hope so.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Talk to Mr. Carpenter.
What we'll typically do is just refer to the right place where it needs to go. I mean, we're not like hiring and firing committee. We're,
No, I know that.
okay, well, thanks.
But thank you for coming, because you didn't know what else to do. And we always are happy to say, oh, we know what to do, or no, we don't, but let's figure it out.
Ready to move on, you guys? Yeah. Okay, so everybody has the monthly minutes in front of them, or you've read of them?
Yep.
And are there any amendments or issues? Andrea, I'm looking for you to tell me if there's an and where there should be a but. Or a the.
No, I would like to move that we pass the minutes as written.
Any discussion?
No, I second it.
Okay, motion made, and let's take a vote on it. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 3-0. Do I get to hammer this again or not?
Only if you want to,
Okay,
but that means that I get to say,
when
I really like that thing.
okay, business office. So we're on to the business office, and is Quanah online?
I am. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hang tight, Juan, we're gonna change the settings, see if we can hear you.
Okay, Connor, can you try that now?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can. Okay, great. Okay, so this report that I have is the unaudited 21-22 financial report. The auditors won't be reviewing things until mid-September. The other thing that has not been completed for 21-22 is our property tax reconciliation. So that can make numbers change a little bit, but it's usually not hugely significant. So these are, some good rough numbers to go off of. We received 4% more in revenue than we budgeted. We actually received more than that, but nearly 575,000 was placed into a deferred revenue liability in order to offset the adjustment that OD will do in May for the unexpected timber revenue received, which was 595,000. So that brought us down to the 4% above budgeted revenue. We spent 87% of our operating expenditures. So we underspent by 13%, which is right about where we were last year. Our projected ending fund balance is 5.6 million, which is 35% of our operating revenues. So overall, our revenues are projected to exceed our expenditures by approximately 1 million, which is good because it could be the other way in a deficit, which we're not. Luckily, and most of that is due to the underspending.
Okay.
Does the board have any questions?
Do we need a motion on this, or do we not? Okay, so I need one of you
I
guys.
make a motion to approve the report, the general fund report.
Discussion? Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed 3-0. All right, what was that? Okay, so we're on the reports, and it's the ESSER report.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just gonna introduce you, but go ahead.
I don't have a ton to share. I just wanted to let you guys know that August 10th, ODE approved our, it's called an IMPT, our integrated planning tool, which For our ESSER $3, we have to, those are federal dollars, and we have to allocate them to all these different approved categories, budget it out, get it approved, and as you know, if there's certain capital expenditures or items that cost more than X, Y, or Z, it has to come to you guys. But so they approve their plan. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're completely locked in. There's a lot of flexibility to make changes as the year progresses. I'll have to do updates. So that's good. And then right now we're kind of waiting. We're in the pending process for the indoor intercom and PA system at the high school. And we're arguing that expenditure, it's going to be probably close to $100,000. The board already approved us asking for it. But it's just a safety thing. When our intercoms and bells aren't working in the school system, you know, that's a big deal. So we're working on that. We're waiting for our outdoor PA intercom system. We already got approved. We've already like ordered it, everything. It's just, everything's back ordered. And then one other item that's kind of in this gray area of waiting for it is warehouse shelving for the high school to organize all this extra PPE stuff that we have. So that'll be, I think it's like $6,000.
Sounds good. So, thank you. On the superintendent's report.
I don't have a lot since we just had a full day of work session last week. I'll go over just a couple things. One, last week we had, we received a report from PACE. So every year this time of year, someone from our insurance carrier comes down and walks through every room of every facility and says, you gotta move that trash can, it's blocking the fire exit, or this eye wash in the science room, it's got stuff built up around it. Or, so we have a meeting scheduled later this week to go through the items that are on there. None of them were unexpected. One of the ones that we need to get right on was specifically a recommendation that before we utilize the football stadium at the high school this fall, that we have a structural engineer inspected. So that's got me a little bit concerned, but we're going to get right on that. I suppose there'd be a scenario where they come out and go, can't use it. So obviously I keep you informed. But again, that inspection is taking place. We got the report, meeting later this week, and we're working on, right now I'm getting a structural engineer to give us a blessing that yes, it's old, but still functional. Then the only other thing tonight was the first night we resumed, and we'll do them all year long. Community Q&As at 5:30. Michelle did a good 20-25 minute piece on Parent Square. And there's relatively good attendance, probably 30 people or so. So in the days and weeks to come, that's going to start to roll out more. And that's all I got.
Okay, thanks. Discussion items, the 2022-23 school board goals.
Yeah, so on our work session, you guys gave me 4 general topics. I gave you each a document for you to consider. And we're going to try to move away from goals that we're pushing down on buildings and principals and let the buildings and principals focus on their building goals that are more specific to them, rather than the board also having kind of additional goals that we want them working on. We want them working on what their teams have decided are the biggest needs of their buildings. So I wrote one briefly up on professional development, one on community input, one on supporting buildings and their goals, and one on celebrating and recognizing achievements, like you do with your student of the month or other things. So we can have all 4. I'd recommend 2 or 3. You can also reword any of these or sign off that you really like the wording that's used or whatever you want. But we need, in a perfect world, we could leave here tonight with the board having adopted their goals for the year. You can also create something totally different if you changed your mind in the last 3 days.
So, I think that number 2 and number 3 are fairly important in terms of having them be our public goals. I'm not sure if number 1, I mean, of course, we want to pursue engagement in all the school board development that we can, because It makes
That
us
one, what
better.
we would talk about is, what I would try to do is at least once a month, send you some article, some new piece of information. So, we can have several, if we choose to have that goal, we can have several strategies underneath that. Make sure the board's aware where they can get the trainings from the OSBA website, that on the first week of every month, Gary's gonna send us an article, a couple topics on current events that, or topics the school boards are dealing with or addressing. So, and the number 4, really, if you want it could be a strategy under number 2, right? Another way that we're engaging and communicating is
Yeah,
celebrating
Yeah,
achievements.
I like that.
I like that.
So I just want to read so people know what we're talking about. Number 1
Oh.
says pursuant, because you guys don't have copies in front of you, pursuant number 1 is pursuant engagement in school board specific professional development.
Throughout the school.
Right, I was looking at something else.
It's okay.
Yeah, okay, throughout
Sorry.
the school year, so that's number 1. 2, support engagement with the community in a variety of ways to elicit feedback that will facilitate continuous improvement while improving student success. If I'm going too fast, tell me. 3, support buildings and staff through our policies and decision-making in regard to meeting and exceeding the goals they have set for themselves at the building level. And 4, celebrating and recognizing the achievements across the district of staff and students. To me, I think the celebration one, I think that happens a lot with you and all the principals. I mean, they celebrate what's going on in the schools and recognize people on a regular basis. And although we can do that a little bit more, I don't see it necessarily to be a goal. I think for me, as a young board member, but an old person, I would like this engagement in school board professional development. I hope the OSBA does some stuff this year that they didn't do in the last few years for COVID. So Lori and I can get more up to speed on stuff a little bit with school boards, what other school boards are doing and getting more articles. I don't actively look at that stuff on the internet.
Yeah, well, I can get it organized for you and get it out in a clean way each month, so. What I hear you saying is, is look at adopting the first 3. And when this happens, I'll create a document that then has some strategies under each one that I'll share with you back and forth. That you feel like, oh, here's a strategy to help with number 3, supporting the buildings and their goals, or a strategy with your PD, which will be that I can send you emails once a month on this topic. So.
What do you think, Lori?
Yeah, I agree. I like 2 and 3. And 1 is okay. I mean, I'm okay, but I don't know that I want something mandatory classes that I have to take.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, overall knowledge is good on what's happening in other boards.
I mean, if you think that's just, if it's just something that will happen anyway, we don't need to make it a goal, but I would like to, read more, go to some conferences.
I think it's a good goal, and it just keeps us charged in the front of our mind that, there's every month there's a different hot topic. I'm making sure I'm getting you the current, you can read or not, but.
Well, and it can even be when we have our board meeting, you bring something that says, here's what's going on today in schools across Oregon, or, that would be helpful.
Here was the hot topic of the month or the week.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we probably need a motion on this, what we want to keep and what we don't want to keep.
So it sounds like 4 is out.
Well,
Well, that's
no,
already happened. It
actually,
doesn't need to be our
For me,
goal
it
this.
is, but it doesn't have to be.
I'll just make it a strategy under number 2.
Okay,
Yeah, so I move that we adopt board goals 1, 2, and 3, with number 4 being located under number 2 as a strategy.
I second that motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 pass. All right, where are we? Board goals, board action, personnel. So we have a number of resignation.
No, next item is 7B.
Oh, okay, we could do that. Next item is 7B, Artie.
All right, so
Okay,
you'll recall at the work session we had last week. That I shared Ardink, I had reached out to Ardink to say, hey, September 29th is coming up, that's when payment in full is due. And they said, we're asking for another extension. We talked about that to go again, kind of replay the history. About 6.5 years ago, we had Central on the market for a little while, wasn't selling. We had this proposal from Ardink, they wanted to buy it. We used a district realtor, created a plan where we sold it to them. They didn't have it paid in full in 5 years. They didn't have to pay us any rent along the way. At the end of 5 years, it was either paid in full or they were leaving. As the end of the 5 years was coming up, they asked for an extension. We asked them, the board considered it. They decided to have them pay a $40,000 non-refundable payment, and we'd extend it 16 months so they need to be paid in full. They did that. They paid the $40,000 by the 5-year deadline. We extended it 16 months, which comes to fruition September 29th of this year. They now reached out and asked for another extension. In your discussion, what you shared with me is that you would consider extending it to December 30th. That's a Friday, and I would talk January 1st, but I chose December 30th because that's a Friday. So we're basically extending it 3 months with the requirement that they would need to pay another $10,000 non-refundable by the current deadline of September 29th. And they need to be paid in full by December 30th. And if they're not, then they vacated the property, and we will take it back over and put it up for sale. So I wrote a sample motion. Of course, you could adjust this anyway, but what the motion does is capture what I just said. If that's approved, I let our Inc. know what the board had discussed, but wouldn't be voting on and making a decision on until tonight. If you do make a decision tonight that this is the route we want to go, I'll make sure I communicate with them in the next couple of days.
I have one question. If they do choose to vacate, and I may just not be remembering this from our session, but the funds that they've already paid, is that forfeited? Like when you?
It's not refundable.
It's not
Kind
refundable.
of like the rent for less. than-
Yes, okay. I just wasn't sure if we were gonna have to refund them any monies or whatever. Okay.
And can you refresh my memory, what kind of services they provide?
Well, specifically Ardink is arts around the community. They do everything from, but pre-COVID, they were putting on lots of plays, fight concerts, holiday shows. They also were a venue for outside entertainment, singers coming in, that kind of thing. Then recently they've started as a revenue stream, renting various little spaces on their campus. They have a Eugene Boxing Club that comes there. In the past, I don't know if they currently do, they've had some daycare, some quilters, just different groups come in and give them a little bit of money to rent the space. But in general, Ardink supports different art activities in the community. You probably got a better.
And there was a time when they went into schools and gave like Readers Theater and helped with speech making, getting up in front of groups and how to do that
Demonstrate
without
yourself
being, yeah,
professionally.
right.
I think it's been slowed down a lot.
Yeah, the whole
Gathering.
pandemic has just been,
And it's always going to be, we knew from the start it was going to be a struggle. So at this point, they really just there needs to be some donors that step up and buy this property, or they need to get a business loan for $210,000, pay it off, and try to be able to keep their nonprofit afloat. But if they can't, then this is an asset that the taxpayers of this community have, and right now we're loaning it out for free. If we had that money, we could use it for something. Like I said, the $40,000 they paid us already is in a special revenue account. My plan would be to use that for the next piece of property or something that the district might be interested in. Like I mentioned to you, the number one on the list would be the house immediately south of Benita Elementary. Next time that comes up for sale, our Benita Elementary parking lot is so small for larger events, people are parking all around the neighborhood. It'd be great to expand that parking lot. that property and the playground there immediately south of there. So who knows what the money will be used for, but in general, we use for some other facility project in the district.
So, I make a motion that we move forward with the resolution that we discussed and the proposed language here.
Any other discussion?
I think we'll need to read it.
Yeah.
Want to read it out loud?
Yeah.
I propose that the board require a non-refundable payment of $10,000 by the current deadline of September 29th. Assuming that payment is made, we will extend the payment in full deadline by 3 months to December 30th, 2022. This will allow a few more months for them to secure a business loan or private funding. By December 30th, the district expects payment in full, or Art Inc. and anyone renting space from them are to have vacated the premises, and the district will resume ownership of the property. I propose that we accept this resolution.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0, motion passed. Okay, so we're on to personnel. We have a number of resignations, hirings, several hirings, one resignation, and we need a proposal to accept those.
I make a motion to approve the resignations of personnel.
It's listed.
I think we can just,
If you do them as a group, just read the whole line, resignations, new hires, transfers, others.
I make a motion to accept the licensed employees' resignations, new hires, transfers, and other listed on the agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so non-licensed personnel report. That's you,
That's
Gary,
for
or
our information.
So pull it up. Again, this one doesn't take a motion, it's just informative.
okay.
One resignation, one new hire on the classified side.
Okay,
And then at the board retreat, you had mentioned, this is kind of our first attempt in a board meeting of having an upcoming event section on the agenda. So today, in the administrative team meeting, shared that with building administrators, that when they do write up their monthly report to send to Michelle to share with the board, they'll include from their building their important upcoming dates, and Ms. Smith will list them here.
yeah.
okay, that sounds great.
Those are just the ones for the rest of August.
Okay, any late items or closing comments? No? Okay, I guess the meeting's adjourned. Thank you for.
Yeah. that was a good
Thank you for running it.
Ooh.
That's what talks some too.
All right.
Don't worry, you do it.